In a world where most people watch movies and then forget about them, these brave heroes join forces to watch them again and then talk about them. Join them in their epic journey as they go back in time, a decade and beyond, to revisit and break down films from a vast array of genres. Do these movies hold up over time? Are they classics? Find out on Retro Movie Roundtable. Starring your hosts, Bryan Frye, Chad Robinson, Dustin Melbartis, Lizzie Haynes, and Russell Guest. Coming now to headphones in your ears.
And it's happening. It's here.
Centipede Day.
I'm just put it on my calendar. Oh yeah, that's April 14th, Centipede Day.
It is. Yeah, this was on my calendar.
I'm so happy.
Welcome all you lords, ladies and knights of the Retro Movie Roundtable. Welcome to the show where we watch movies and then talk about them. I'm your host, Russell Guest, and joining me today are two of my good friends and co-host, Mr. Bryan Frye from Spokane, Washington. How you doing, sir?
It's almost like being in prison.
Yeah. More on that in a minute. Chad Robinson from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the man behind the reason for this episode.
Oh, no, sir.
Yes, here he is.
I am not the reason. You are the reason, sir. We have been through this, and I'm sure we will talk about it some more. But Bryan is poor collateral damage, but you are the reason we are here.
I did not pick this. You did. But here we are. We are here because Chad wanted it to be this way. So
I didn't want it to be this way. Russell chose violence.
What is a movie that made you feel ick? Maybe grossed out, rubbed you the wrong way? Bryan.
This is going to sound weird, but there have been several movies that have used either honey or oil. Like there are parts of The Descent where I'm just like, you just want to shower. And so I'm just going to give a hats off to all the movies out there that use some sort of goop. Like even, I'll even go Jurassic Park, which is going to come up here in a second. You know, the Dilophosaurus spit. Like I want to just give a hats off to any time a movie uses a serious viscous substance on a person. And you're just like, yep, that's unclean.
Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
There you go.
Is that a movie?
It really is.
Yeah.
Weird.
Funny you ask, Russell.
Speaking of terrible movies, yeah, they actually have an entire thing now of like these out of copyright characters, and so they now call it the Pooniverse, and it's like Winnie the Pooh, and there's Popeye, and they're dark, terrible versions of serial killers. Piglet is in them.
Yep,
it's a thing.
This is all real.
Yeah, the second Winnie the Pooh is actually not bad. The first one is one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
Think about like is it Thanksgiving?
Yes.
The turkey. Yeah, it's all in that ballpark.
Oh no, I love Thanksgiving.
It's in the same subgenre of horror.
All right. How about you, Chad? What is a movie that made you feel ick?
There's a ton of them. I watch these stupid movies constantly, and there are some that over and over and over again on the forums, people are like, don't watch this movie. And that's just, my brain says, sure, I'm going to go do that. Sallow is...
Oh God. Oh, geez. That's a different level of ick. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, Sallow and a Serbian film are the two that come to mind that... there are only two people on this planet I would recommend them to, and they both live beside me.
I decided at one point in time to try to watch Sallow, and I think I made it 20 minutes before I turned it off and said, nope, don't need that.
Oh my gosh, it gets so much worse.
I was just like, I'm good, thanks. Until somebody needs it to weaponize it for the podcast.
I mean, that's all up to Russell.
All right. And a movie that I really enjoy, but made me feel really ick and, not good, was Dragon Tattoo. There's a rough scene.
Really?
Yeah, there's a rough scene in that movie That's
Well,
hard.
yeah.
That's hard to sit through.
Mm-hmm.
The movie itself is excellent, but that scene will always be hard to get out of my mind. Now, I've watched the movie several times, so perhaps this is what's doing it. Returned visits, so maybe that's why it's so strongly in my mind.
I'll admit, I think it's one that is a scene that I find myself in another room for, and then come back for the rest of it on rewatches. There are parts of movies that I just don't. It's like the start of John Wick. Like, I've probably watched John Wick 10, 15 times. I have watched the beginning of John Wick, the first movie, one time. I don't really need anything before John Leguizamo beating the crap out of Theon Greyjoy. That's where that movie starts for me.
Fair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, so you can have a good movie and it can still be ick at the same time, or you can have a bad movie and have it be ick too. So I mean, it could be all of the above. I think Dustin loves to talk about there's good movies that you love and recommend, and there's bad movies that you love, and there's good movies that you don't love, and it's like a little quadrilateral, or what do you call it, 4-quadrant kind of corner. So I think you could probably do the same thing with ick and good as well. So.
And there's also different levels of ick. Like, I went very topical with mine. Like, I don't enjoy rapiness in movies, which is where Russell went with it. So completely hats off to that portion. And, Chad doesn't like unfaith or infidelity in his films. I'm not a huge fan of that either. So I think you can have a whole bunch of different messed up stuff in movies that would give you the ick. But yeah.
So what you're saying is Chad would not like a movie that's like a version of high fidelity, but high infidelity then.
I think that he would watch all 3 Human Centipede movies end to end with popcorn and a drink before he picked up Unfaithful with Richard Gere and, is that Diane Lane?
Phrasing. Let's not say end to end in Human Centipede.
Sometimes these things just happen. Yeah. All right. And then, Bryan, what is the last movie you saw?
So since it got brought up, I realized I was 2 movies behind in the Jurassic Places films. So I watched Dominion last night, and I'm about halfway through Rebirth today.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So how's catching up with Jurassic Park going for you? Is it fun?
It doesn't matter how bad the movie is. It's a Jurassic Park movie, and I'm kind of into it to a certain level. I will admit that the Dominion is a little rough because it deals with a lot of animal cruelty. Again, something that's not super pleasant to really dive into, but again, for movie purposes, it's a watchable film. I just think it's really funny that they have failed to make, and I'm using air quotes right now, the park so many times, and they just don't seem to run out of that arrogant CEO who just says, well, it won't happen to us. And as the movie viewer, I want that to be the case. I mean, Wayland Yutani all the way, let's go. But yeah, everybody just seems to be like, and then now we're starting to circle back around on the ones like, well, let's give it another shot.
Yeah. Or we had a super secret island that we didn't tell anyone about.
Now, I haven't seen the Uber T-Rex thing from the current one I'm on, so Rebirth, yet. But I swear I brought up Wayland Yutani for a reason, because I was like, are they trying to make a T-Rex look like an alien? Really? So all you see is the shadow and smoke. So you don't actually see it yet. And I was just like, that looks a little alien to me. So
we need to get more creative with, like, how many different franchises have Rebirth as their little tagline?
Several. I mean,
well, Alien.
It's everything that says, hey, let's give the movie franchise another role.
Yeah.
Rebirth.
Chad, what is your last movie that you saw?
I've been on a bad movie kick for some inexplicable reason. Been watching some Mystery Science Theater 3000 episodes with my daughter. She was not into it at first, and then she was laughing a little bit. Some of those references are pretty tough. Like, you'd need to be a little older to see it, or just older in general, like 40s, to understand some of it. But our friend Dan Cook put out a new terrible B movie that he did a review of. It was called Lake Placid versus Anaconda from
Fantastic.
2015. And it is all kinds of terrible. Like the worst CGI giant crococonda, I think is what they were calling them. They mixed together. It's Russell does not like Anaconda.
No, I don't like Clay Placid either.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love the first one. Like the trio of Brendan Gleeson, Oliver Platt, and Bill Pullman is one of my favorite things in a quasi horror movie ever. All hail the first Lake Placid movie. Absolutely love it.
It's not as good as that, not even remotely. Like these are absolute D movie actors and actresses, although Robert Englund shows up. I love Robert Englund, Freddy Krueger himself. So,
and just to be frank, I won't watch it unless it comes up for the podcast. The remake of Anaconda as a comedy question mark, that's not happening either. I have no interest.
It wasn't good. I did check it out because I just wanted to see what they would do, and honestly, the trailers spoiled a whole bunch.
It literally looks like Jumanji : Anaconda.
That's totally fair.
Yeah. That's what the film looks like to me, and I was just like, I'm good.
It's not great.
Yeah. Well, I mean, sequels and putting things together. How does it compare to Alien versus Predator? Is it for crossing the streams, if you will, as a comparison?
I like Alien versus Predator. It's a dumb movie, but it's fun. Like
Alien versus Predator really falls into a very empty bucket for me. I don't have a whole lot of movies where I came into it with all the hopes and dreams of anyone who ever played AVP video games and wanted a legitimate movie of it, and then saw that film. And I'm not gonna lie, I've watched it more than one time. Like it's one of those things where I'm like, what could have been, but you're hoping and praying for an A+, and you end up with like a D-, and you're just like, So it is definitely on a short list of horrible disappointments of my childhood.
Okay, I mean the comics are better and everything else.
Yeah. And again, it's watchable. I'm not, but where I needed it to be and where it actually landed was a huge deviation.
Yeah. And the movie that I saw last has plenty of bad sequels, Jaws, but I watched the original, so it's all good.
Nice palate cleanser there.
I did a huge tear of the Jaws movies because they're leaving Netflix soon.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
That progressively gets worse. Yeah.
No, I think
true.
the third one gets worse, and then it gets a little better.
Is that the third one's in SeaWorld, right?
That's the 3D.
Yeah, 3D.
Oh man, I like that one with.
Do you?
Yeah. That. I mean, I agree. The 3D piece just didn't hit, but I enjoyed the premise of it being in SeaWorld. Like that's great. That's fantastic. Mixing it up a little bit. I actually used to think it was Jaws 2 for a really long time. Somehow I missed Jaws 2 altogether and believed 3 was 2, and that the one everybody said sucked is the one I hadn't seen yet. And then I found out everybody's crushing on the SeaWorld one. I was like, oh, that's a bummer. So anyway, yeah, I like 3. I liked all of them. I don't have a bad Jaws movie.
Oh no, Michael Caine does.
I don't. That's what I'm saying. Like I think that one gets overshadowed, or that one overshadows the badness of the other one. You know what I mean? So
I mean, it's fine. I saw it as a kid, so I didn't really. I kind of like what we were talking about a second ago. I had zero hopes and dreams pinned on it. I was just like, oh, now it's in SeaWorld. Yeah. Fantastic. Target rich environment.
All right. Well, without further ado, Chad, what movie are we watching today?
We are covering the critically acclaimed Human Centipede 3, the final sequence.
Oh boy, here it is.
The oh boy.
Chad, why don't you, before we get into this, tell people you love this movie and you picked this movie. So help us understand why you selected this movie for us.
Why? Okay, so we have these things called dealer's choices, where we, as the co-hosts, get to pick the movie. There's no random guest list. There's usually not a set list of movies. Sometimes we offer picks. Sometimes we don't. Russell Guest here
always offers picks.
has placed 4 of my dealer's choices as his worst movie of the year. And prior to the 4th one, I said, you need to stop doing this, sir. Some of them don't deserve it. I understand Leprechaun. I do understand Leprechaun. I can let that go. But
That actually wasn't a dealer's choice. That was just a holiday special.
I picked Grave of the Fireflies, which has, for the record, 100% Rotten Tomato rating. And Russell replies with, this is probably my worst movie of the year. And prior to that, I said, if you don't stop this, I am going to pick Human Centipede 3. Like, this is what we're going to do on the show. So this is why it is Russell Guest's fault, because he was given ample warning. All he has to do, ladies and gentlemen, is number 49 out of 50. But, like Icarus, he just flew too close to the sun and he got burnt. So here we are at Human Centipede 3. And the brilliant thing of my pick is Russell is a completionist. So Russell Guest, we knew, Bryan knew, as soon as I said 3, we all said, he's going to watch the second one, isn't he? And Mr. Guest, do we know you well?
You do, yes.
So I got a double whammy. Russell didn't just watch Human Centipede 3. He does his homework, ladies and gentlemen. He does thorough research because he is a professional. He went back and he watched Human Centipede 2, a feat that none of us volunteered to do.
Actually, my first thought when Chad initially brought it up is, I bet Chad's sitting there wishing it was like a 4, 5, 6 kind of thing.
I really do. They are going to make a human... They're making a 4th one, apparently. It's the human caterpillar type thing.
Well, for record, and while we're keeping track of doing homework, the average rating at the end of year countdown for you, Chad, on your ratings for my movies, which I always give a short list. So I don't just say, this is your movie, you must watch it. I think Breaking Away was the last time I ever did that. And so you have my movies averaging at a 21.7 on your year-end countdown ratings, and I'm just a little behind you at 27.5. So that is not so different.
Well, I picked Shawshank Redemption for some of mine, so I would hope so.
It's true. You have a number 2 movie that I've selected, and I have a number 1 movie that you selected, and a number 3 movie that you selected. So we have high points. So we're not always enemies on this one. So,
but ladies and gentlemen, he was warned repeatedly, and he keeps doing it.
Those are objective, personal rankings, and so anyway. Here we go. Without further ado, Human Centipede 3, the final sequence, stars Dieter Laser, Laurence R. Harvey, Robert LaSardo, Tommy Lister Jr., Jay Tavare, Eric Roberts. Somehow he got to be in this movie. Bree Olson, Clayton, Rohner, and Bill Hutchens. Got a couple familiar names from earlier in the franchise. We'll cover that later. This movie comes out in 2015. It was released both theatrically and on video on demand, so that may have hurt its box office performance a little bit because it was on video on demand right away. So it only grosses $18,000 domestically, which is not much. That's not enough to rank on the year-end ratings for 2025, even though we do have good box office numbers for those years. The number 1 movie that year is The Force Awakens. Normally, I say prequels allow a moment for Chad to groan, but in this case, I'm going to allow a moment for Bryan to have a groan of pain, because I know you do not like The Force Awakens in particular.
Again, this falls into the category of watchable, but I expected more from J.J. Abrams. He's one of my guys, and I concede that the route he took, I wish it wasn't the route he took, but Star Wars movies, especially 90s on, are likely to be in the top 10 for grossing at the end of the year, because there's just too many fans willing to say, take my money, I don't care. So what I like to do on those years is go back, look at the top 10 and be like, all right, realistically, what was the best movie of this year that falls under these grossing ranks?
Yeah, and I don't know how this comes about, but they're saying Grogu and The Mandalorian is anticipated to be a flop. Now, I don't know how they anticipate this. They're projecting it to have a bad opening weekend of and I don't know how they figure these things out before they come out. So all I'll say is, don't, Star Wars fans, go to the theaters, see Grogu and Mandalorian, and support your Star Wars stuff.
No.
I'd say my general piece on that's going to be people are kind of fed up with Disney's tampering with their childhood and whatnot. So, not saying don't go see it. I'll probably end up watching it, but it is one of those things where there's an anger. I mean, frankly, there's an anger with what's going on, and whether it's warranted or not. I've enjoyed The Mandalorian so far, so I'll watch it. Now I might wait till it hits Disney Plus, but I'll watch it.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
So
you ripped a TV show and just said, okay, if you want to keep watching it, we're going to throw it in theaters. All right, well, I'll wait.
And if there's quality to it, man, if I hear through the grapevine, the last time I saw a Star Wars movie in theaters and I was like just cheering was Rogue One, and if that happens again, awesome. I'm never rooting for a franchise that I like to fail, but I am at the point now where I got to hear a little bit about it. I got to hear what the scuttlebutt is a little bit before I take a time out to go see it.
Well, this is maybe what they're anticipating. I will tell you this much. I think that there is some understanding at this point. I think Kevin Feige's movies have proven if you start on TV and then you just go to the theater for effectively a TV sequel. Disney, in particular, has diluted their Marvel content and their Star Wars content with their TV offerings. They've put so much of it out there, and now you have to watch TV in order to get everything or to keep up with everything. And, like when Thunderbolts went to the theater, I believe that one started on TV first, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Nope.
No.
The Marvels, you had to watch Miss Marvel because she didn't have any standalone. She was television only.
Right. Okay.
I will say this: I never finished that series, and I saw the Marvels in theaters, and it was fine.
It was tough because I think you had to watch 3 separate TV shows to be able to get into the Marvels. I was just like, well, that's not great.
Loki for the multiverse start.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't understand any of the end sequences.
Miss Marvel and WandaVision for Monica Rambeau.
Right. And then I would even say, now granted it was a film, you'd also need Multiverse of Madness and then Miss Marvel. So yeah, three TV shows and another movie for
and
that one to fully make sense.
Yeah, thank you. I turned the gun at the wrong one. But my point is, still standing. If you must watch 3 seasons of anything, much less 3 TV shows of anything, that's going to hurt your box office performance. And that could happen here. People loved Baby Yoda, but it has been a while. They haven't made a season. There's 3 seasons, and it's been a little while since we've seen Baby Yoda and Mandalorian. So will it have the box office draw? The articles say no.
You realize what Russell is doing right now is stalling.
It's fine. I don't know what all I'm going to talk about for this movie, so I've been kind of all right about it. No, it's here's the thing. We're 40s now, man. Like, we don't hear the silver bell anymore at Christmas. It's not the air quotes of the magic. Like, when I come across something I really like anymore, it's usually not something I necessarily need to put my name on to say, hey, I really like this, because it's usually something fairly dark, it's fairly twisted, and aligns with my cynical views on everything. So, the things like Harry Potter, where it's, like, yay, Sorting Hat. Now, granted, I'll watch it because I thought the films grossly undervalued parts of the books, and I'm excited to see if that gets fixed in the show. So I'm definitely going to watch it. But in terms of something capturing hearts and minds, as you put it, that's a tall order at our age, man.
I don't know. I don't think Chad
We've
ever
seen
heard the bell.
things. We've seen things.
He's Mr. Grinch. That's
like this movie.
I have plenty of joy in my life, and one of them is forcing these types of films on you.
See, that's vengeance. It's cynical vengeance, and that's it's hard to find the magic. Is my point. Like,
yes,
I can't remember the last time I saw a movie and felt like I was a 12-year-old seeing something that really blew my mind all over again.
I know you had your mind blown when you saw The Matrix, so it was at least in junior high for you.
But again, cynical take on life's, strifes and struggles. I'm talking about like
Sinners.
What Marvel does. Well, again, but all of these fall into the you're scratching a noir dark itch that I just enjoy as who I am now. What we were bringing up were things like Star Wars and Marvel and Harry Potter. I mean, these are all things that, that the 10-year-old you would sharpen sticks so that 40-year-old you can die on a hill defending the worst of them because it's still yours. Like, that's what I'm talking about. And I don't think you get new things like that anymore at our age.
I enjoyed K-pop Demon Hunter. Like, I'm not going to go buy all the merch, but it was fun.
That's my quote of the episode.
Okay.
Best quote. I enjoy K-pop Demon Hunter.
It's not bad, Bryan. I mean, I also enjoy it. It's I would prefer not to hear the songs soda pop within the overall production, but actually most of it's pretty good. I won't give Chad a
My
hard
daughter
time.
literally asked me to play it on the way to school today, and I was like, grudging.
Yeah,
I dig it.
Yeah, I mean, someday you'll be there in the front row of a boy band, concert tour, Bryan. You're doomed to. It could happen. So it's up to you to give me good music to your daughter to keep this from happening. It's like
See, I think
have the power.
that's the slippery slope that you run into. You give them the good music so that they don't do it, and then they listen to all the bad music because all the good stuff you gave them they hate because they're like, "Why'd you make me listen to this?"
It can happen. Growing up, my niece would love really awesome rock music, classic stuff. She'd find really good new rock music, but she definitely also still liked One Direction and Taylor Swift and these things too. So, I mean, she just did all of it. So, and kudos to her because she gets to enjoy all of life without any spite towards anything. So maybe she's the one doing it right. So.
Yet. It comes regardless.
Speaking of spite and regret for life, this movie gets a 2.7 from IMDb. It's not real high on their likability. I don't think I've seen a lot of IMDb scores this low. Rotten Tomatoes.
That's high. I'm shocked it's that high, frankly. That's 2.7 out of 10 is the number of people out there that is willing to give this a tongue-in-cheek smirk.
Yeah,
I don't think you can give a zero.
They hate IMDb more than they hate the film.
First of all, you can't give a 0 on IMDb, so that's not a rating. So, and 1 is the floor. So let's also understand that. So you got that as a.
So what you're really saying is it's a 1.7.
Whatever you want to say. I know even integers are your world, Bryan, but I mean, this is a decimal and it doesn't go below 1. So Rotten Tomatoes, though, 20% from the critics, which the critics, I think I've seen lower critic scores in fairness, and audience score behind the critics, actually. You don't see this often. The audience score is about half of that, and the audience score says it's 11%. It is an award-nominated movie for the Razzies for Worst Remake, Ripoff, or Sequel, and Worst Director to Tom Six. It is a Fangoria Chainsaw Award nominee. Chad, this is your award show for Worst Film.
Yep.
The Internet Film Critics Society nominee for Worst Film. So it
doesn't win any of these though. Stunning.
It doesn't win any of them. I know it is confusing. AFI distinctions, none. Now, Roger Ebert refused to give Human Centipede a star rating because the star rating system is unsuited for a film like this. He said, not much has changed, unfortunately. And Entertainment Weekly ranked this film as the second worst movie of 2015, specifying it as sleazy sadism served with a wink and a smile. Six's Anus to Mouth trilogy is a satire without any clue of what it's actually satirizing. So,
I feel like this one had more direction and satire than most.
I would like to point out that 5% of Canadians, so 40 individual Canadians gave this a 10 out of 10.
Huh.
They are the highest out of the user ratings by country in IMDb, 5 countries. It has the highest 10 out of 10 rating from Canada.
Maybe we should invade them.
There's a very select demographic.
We got some cool stuff up here, guy.
There's very select demographic where this appeals to them in a way that I find even more disturbing than the movie itself. So some people are enjoying this sort of thing. So, for reasons. But on that note, Bryan, had you seen Human Centipede 3, the final sequence before? If so, what was your background with it?
That's a big no. I will say that Human Centipede 1 was on at a party one time, and I've, air quotes again, seen most of it through I'm not really paying attention to this sort of lens. And that's all I got. That's except this one, which I did watch.
What state of mind were you in as you took that in, by the way? Like, were you
the first one or this one?
The first one.
Oh, intoxicated, heavily intoxicated.
Okay. That might have let you off easy. I think that improves the situation for you slightly. So this one, did it make you drink again?
No, I watched this one while doing housework on my phone. It just kind of came around with me, which may have taken a little of the edge off because I wasn't sewn to the screen, as it were. But yeah. I did pay attention to the entire film.
Okay, and did you venture into the second one, or did you skip the second?
Absolutely
one?
Not.
Okay, so you're a little into
only via the flashbacks from the second one in this one.
Can you really have a human centipede without having the middle?
Well, only you can answer that for us, right?
Yeah, you tell us what we're missing.
Yeah. Wait, Chad, have you not seen the second one with your encyclopedia? You didn't see the second one with your encyclopedic viewing?
Like I said, you are the expert. No, absolutely not. I'm not watching that garbage.
Holy cow. I've seen a horror movie that you haven't? Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I'm going to shift this, before I go to Bryan here.
It's so diabolical.
We had discussions before this podcast of whether Bryan and I were actually going to watch this movie. Yeah. And we were going to let you come in and do all this prep work and say, did you enjoy it? And we're like, we didn't watch that.
We didn't watch it.
We watched a completely separate movie.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that could be. That would be funny. I wish that had been the case because I could have.
Please, Russell, fill us in.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us what happened?
Well, so Bryan, given that this is your second entry and first full time paying attention, this movie is a very different flavor than the first movie for sure.
Are we not doing phrasing anymore?
I guess we should. This movie is tonally a very different movie than the first movie. What was your take on it this time? Like, what was it like coming to it for your very first time?
Well, so when I watched the first Human Centipede, I was getting more Saw vibes than I was, humor satire. And when I say humor satire, please understand I'm using that in the loosest possible sense. This movie, came across as I am trying to make this body horror, like splatter stuff as not stupid, but like as whimsical as humanly possible. So I don't feel like it lands the punches the way that if he wanted to make this a serious film where these characters were serious about what they're doing, they could have done it in a very less foolish way. And that would have made it a much more difficult movie to watch. As it stands, it's just, hey, how can I put as much terribly shocking stuff as I could into an hour and 49 minutes, which I got to tell you, I didn't know the length of it until Chad sent me the link to watch the movie. And I was like, really? Like you talked about Dustin and the tight 90. I was kind of hoping for like a 75. Like I just kind of figured they couldn't put that much more into one of these movies. Let's just get right to the Centipede and then it'd be over and we're good. No, man, this is an hour and 49 minute movie. Yeah. That alone, like if the most torture in this film is the length for the content.
It is the longest Centipede movie yet.
Yep,
and it is the longest Centipede yet.
Yes, yeah. It is the longest one depicted as well. So, I'm going to switch gears here to the godfather of this episode, the person who made this all happen. Chad, you, Human Centipede 3, the final sequence. Is this your first time seeing it?
Yeah. I mean, I purely picked it based on I knew it was a terrible movie. I'd heard frequently, this is a terrible movie. And so I was giving Russell a free pass of like, here you go. You want the worst place movie of the year without any penalty whatsoever? It's probably going to be this one. Although I'll be honest, this is not the worst movie I've seen this year for this podcast. Like it's not going to be last for me. It's going to be near the bottom, but it
you can
not...
put Razor's Edge at the bottom. I take no offense, but that's fine. You can do that.
I don't know if I can even do that.
I'm okay with there will be no retaliation. Like, this is your freebie for everybody on the show. Like, you can rank this fat last and it will not hurt my feelings. That was the intended purpose.
I'll tell you this. I'm excited for something to be worse than this. Like, if someone actually manages to be worse than this, that will be a shocking thing.
Well, there has to be a last place all the time, and it's always going to happen. But Chad, had you seen the first movie? And I think you'd already stated ahead of time you didn't see the second one leading into this, right?
No, absolutely not.
Did you see the first one?
I did. It was part of I missed the theater release, but there was too much buzz around it. And it's a ridiculous concept. And eventually I will press the button that I'm not supposed to. I will enter the building that you're not supposed to go in, whatever it is. I'm told to stay away and I can't. So I watched it and I don't necessarily regret it on the level that Russell does. Russell frequently claims it's one of the worst things he's ever seen. It's just in a box of, yep, I've seen it. Like, there's more cultural value to that one than this one. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, going to the third one, again, tonally very different from the first movie. And also, I'll mention it's tonally different from the second movie, too. All three movies, very different. What was your take with the third one? Were you expecting this?
No, I was not. I knew the second one was considered like the most graphic and the most shock value and things like that. This one was funny. Like, it was funny in parts, genuinely funny. Now, Tom Six can't help himself. He is dedicated shock value, and that's tiresome to me. He always takes it a step too far. This could have been a decent B movie. I'm actually more angry at this movie because it could have been decent. The concept still is terrible and has all these kinds of terrible things. But I started off with this movie kind of enjoying it and thinking, okay, this isn't so bad. And it got worse.
Yeah, I'm curious to know as we go and pass this spoiler hole where that point is for you. So, I'm going to ask you both, given that you both did Human Centipede 1 and not 3. This was not what you were expecting. Did you enjoy this more than the original?
No, the original is more horror for me. So I enjoyed the concept, and the centipede shows up much earlier and you're dealing with that. There are escapes. This is too controlled. Like, nobody's really getting out of the prison. It's not as interesting. You're just waiting for it to show up. So the first one delivers in that aspect. That's the best thing I can say for the first movie.
Yeah, I'll admit that, like the first Saw movie, there was a degree. I mean, the atmosphere of the film is completely different from this one. If I'm looking for the subgenre of horror that is there just to purely, pierce the veil of all things good and right in this world, like, one would be the one I would tell somebody to go after for a horror movie. This is more like something that I'd be almost excited to see a Mystery Science Theater done on, just because it's so silly. Like, and again, I hate throwing words like silly around. Somebody watches this movie and dude said silly and they're just like, what? But the way the punchlines land is comedic in its execution, as opposed to the dark seediness of the first one.
Yeah.
It's a lot more meta as well.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it'll be by the time this thing is edited down, but we are 42 minutes before I have had to start talking about this movie.
Yes, I've noticed.
It's
the Dustin Melbardis start to the show. It's you can just say that I'm Dustin for this episode.
strangely comfortable with it.
So this is my first time seeing Human Centipede, the final sequence. So this is the third one. As Chad has laughingly pointed out, I try to do a good job and see every movie before it gets to there. He's told me with certain franchises, I think Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, he's like, watch these movies, don't watch these movies. And I'm steadfast. No, I'm going to see it in order so I understand everything, the references, and I like to get things in the order that they came in. Even like when it gets into like they reprinted the books of Narnia and they like reordered the books and like put them in chronological order. I was a big no on that. I thought C.S. Lewis had it a very interesting way where you got to watch it in a certain order. It could really impact how you come to a movie. It can also make you appreciate something if they had something bad before it and that director said, I'm going to turn away from that. Like one of the more recent Jamie Lee Curtis Halloween movies said, we're going to get rid of everything back to Halloween 2 and just hit the reset button. And that was a really refreshing thing for that director to do, in my opinion, because that remarkably increases the quality of the back catalog and the backstory a lot.
And then they ruined it all over again.
In that movie?
The next one.
Evil Dies Tonight.
I haven't seen that one yet.
It's terrible.
Oh, let's see. But I will probably watch it before we're going any farther with anything more Michael Myers. To your point, Chad. So you just that's where I'm coming from. I say all of this to say, I watched Human Centipede 1 because the radio shows, talk shows that we had at the time brought this up on a daily basis. They were joking about it all the time. People were joking about it. There were memes online. The Centipede, Human Centipede episode of South Park probably hadn't come out yet when I committed myself to watch it. I did a stupid thing. One evening I was at home alone because I knew Mary had no intentions of watching this. It was on Netflix, so it was just like, yeah, well, let's boot it up. I served myself some pizza because I didn't think it could be as bad as it was, to be honest with you. I figured anything that could be made in the movies and talked about on the radio so much had to have some degree of FCC standards that was going to tame this thing down to where it wasn't so bad.
No.
And it was truly upsetting. And I want to say at this point, like, there's shock value for the sake of the art. And that's the point of it. You're supposed to have a visceral reaction. And in that regard, the movie was highly effective. I watched the second movie probably about 4 weeks ago, and it was deeply upsetting. A really hard thing to watch. I had a hard time sleeping. I woke up in the middle of the night upset. I think it's one of those things that you can't unsee. It will always bother you kind of things where like it's just deeply upsetting. Like that scene from the girl with the dragon tattoo, but stretched out without any of the good mystery and the, like, all the redeeming. Yeah, exactly. Without all these wonderful things that we like in the movie. So it was just like that. And it was really hard. It was far more extreme. It's far more graphic. It's far more real. And unfortunately, it was presented in a more real way. And then I got to this third one thinking, I don't know that this is going to affect me as a human being. Like, they should put a disclaimer on this.
I'm so happy I didn't watch 2 now.
This is where I was sitting there going like, I believe in free speech. I believe you should have parental advisory albums and do whatever you need to do.
To yourself, free speech is a thing. Free speech is a thing. Free speech.
But boy, Human Centipede 2 tested my limits for like, it's like somebody probably should have said no at some point. Somebody gave Tom Six money to do this, and it doesn't have to be the censor saying you're not allowed to make this. It should have been someone saying, Tom Six, you're not allowed to do this. You're a silly man. But anyway, I was really afraid, given the escalation we had seen through the first 2 movies, that we were in a very different world again. The 3 movies don't connect. They refer to each other, and they refer to themselves as movies, which is kind of like this meta thing that they do within the movies. And that's very interesting how they did that. So I was really glad to see a reset button, and I was also relieved. we went how far into this movie. There's tons of messed up stuff in this movie. This movie is super messed up. But I think you mentioned this movie, they set out to make a comedy. Now, I don't think it's funny, but I think tonally they're not challenging you nearly as much, and they're not hitting you over with uncomfortable, brutal nudity, like the vulnerability of like that and the abuse factor as much. Having said that,
it's
still
there.
It's there,
but it's not. Yeah,
It's so for gross out, they're remarkably sparing. I can't believe the same director made this, to be honest with you. So if somebody had the mission of, like when 22 Jump Street, they said we got to do more, but like escalate it, like we got to go bigger, and we got a longer Centipede, and they got that on the board. But thank goodness they didn't choose to go darker, meaner, more brutal, more torture. More graphic stuff and more gore and all of that. So, anyway,
I also think that who they're doing it to lowered the bar for me.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of really hardened, terrible criminals. All right, maybe it'll work.
We have to get into this after the spoiler wall. I can't believe we're at this point, but we will be back after these messages. If you don't want this movie spoiled for you, you can check it out. Maybe you don't mind just knowing what happens in this movie without watching it. Maybe that's the best way to take it in. So we will be back after these messages.
Welcome to the All 80s Movies Podcast.
I'm Bill.
And I'm Jason, and this is the podcast where we talk about the blockbusters, the flops, and everything in between from one of the freshest decades for movies, the 1980s. So whether you're a brain, a jock, a valley girl, or a Jedi, we've got some 80s classics for you.
Do these movies stand the test of time? Are we discovering something new? Is there an 80s movie we're finally watching for the first time?
Join us each week as we dive into the cinematic nostalgia that inspired and influenced a generation. From the hits to the cult classics, we'll discuss our earliest memories, favorite scenes, fun facts, and our not-so-favorite movie moments, too.
It's the All 80s Movies Podcast, now available on all major streaming platforms. Please subscribe and happy listening.
All right, we're back, and this is your final warning. We're talking about Human Centipede 3, and if you don't want any spoilers, this is your time to get off.
Or if you don't want any part of this in the first place, that's also understandable.
Also true. Yeah, I didn't put in a disclaimer on this one. Chad, you can record your own disclaimer and put Okay. Well, then here we go. Without further ado, Chad, for those who haven't seen or can't unsee Human Centipede 3, the final sequence, will you refresh people's memories?
Absolutely no one listening to this episode will watch this, but they're going to listen to hear us hate talk about it. So welcome to Russell's Punishment, ladies and gentlemen. Human Centipede 3 focuses on an unhinged, misogynistic, racist warden named Bill Boss and his accountant Dwight. They're both on the chopping block from the governor for running the prison, we'll say poorly, and need to turn things around. Dwight is a fanboy of the Human Centipede films and proposes his own experiment to gain compliance from the prisoners. Bill ignores the advice at first, preferring outright murder, boiling waterboarding, and castration, but eventually he's persuaded that a centipede is the natural direction to take things. They bring in Tom Six, the director of Human Centipede himself, to advise on a creation. You've seen the poster, so you get the idea. I don't really need to go into detail about how the creation comes about, but needless to say, the governor is horrified, even more so by the creation of the human caterpillar, which is filled with amputated death row inmates. Upon further consideration, though, the governor decides this is exactly what America needs and praises Bill and Dwight. Bill grows jealous of Dwight, killing him along with the doctor in charge of the procedures, before celebrating naked in the guard tower over his centipede while patriotic music plays. God bless America.
All right. Well, when compared to its predecessors, this installment is more of a black comedy than a horror film. As you have mentioned, Chad, this isn't necessarily what you thought you were getting into. Let's talk about this here for a minute. each of these movies is a different world, and they refer to the other one. In the second movie, you have a character who's inspired by Human Centipede and wants to do something like that of himself. It's far more realistic. But in this one, somebody watched that movie and the first movie, and they are inspired that this is the tax-saving solution to proper prison management. And if that didn't get you already going, like, we're not being serious, it doesn't change very quickly. Like, it's silly from the get-go, if you will.
Yeah, it's like this episode. They actually use Human Centipede 1 and 2 to torture the prisoners. There's a screening of basically, here's what's going to happen to you. But to your point, I don't think it's as mean. Like the first one, they even call out they're slashing the tendons and ligaments in the knees, so they're only able to crawl. Whereas this one, they are injecting paralytic, so they have to crawl, and they keep that system going. They change the suture system, so there's almost like a feed bag that covers some of the grossness.
So you don't have to look at it, which is nice, actually, from our viewer standpoint. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of that, but the warden himself, like, man, Dieter Laser, he's a wild character. I have no idea how anyone could take anything serious from what he's saying. Just the ridiculous stuff that he is shouting. And I don't even know how much we can say on this podcast. Like, he orders fried lady bits from, what was it, Africa? or
somewhere.
I mean, as long as you're clinical with it, I think we got to go with it. I mean, that's the conversation we're having. So,
I have never heard somebody more dramatically shout clitoris to an accountant. That's a sentence. That's a new sentence for me.
That you know of.
Yeah. I don't know the context.
His character was generally unintelligible through most of this movie to me. Like, you really had to pay attention to him to understand what he was spouting.
It was some Hunter S. Thompson full-on drug rage vibes. Yeah.
You know what? I think it would have been helped had we seen him be on drugs, actually. That would have been a good ad. Like, you
don't know what those fried lady bits are doing.
I don't. But I mean, I think adding that in the mix would have been a good touch, to be honest with you. But no, he did this of a sane mind, so to speak. Well, I don't know if it's sane, but
what a waste for that. Like, I kept expecting those to kind of be like a Chekhov's gun, but they're just set up for that one joke of his Daisy. She's like, "Can I have a candy for the taste?" And then that's indicative of the type of movie we're covering. Like, that's the punchline. You have a woman eating these candies. It's like, oh, can't you do better?
Yeah.
It's hard for me to sound disappointed in Human Centipede 3, but I am. I want a better movie. Like, there was possibility here. This one angers me for different reasons than I think you are angered, Russell. Because I love and dwell in these B and C and D movie land where there can be ridiculous concepts like crocodile, anaconda, hybrid babies that are obviously CGI and people are dying in ridiculous deaths. Great. That is popcorn flicks for me. But Tom Six he can't help himself. Like, he just can't stay in his lane.
I mean, it's obligatory. We must do this. So, I mean, if people get squeamish, this is definitely the time to get off. But I mean, the hit list of things that happen in this movie. There's an aggressive sexual assault of a woman at his desk. He eats
several times, frankly.
Yeah, that was awful right off the bat. I'll be honest with you. Like, that was, I mean, this movie, that's quote unquote easing you into the water. And then there's mutilated, removed female organs of the basically pickled clitoris is put into a jar that he eats as a snack because it'll give him power. Now, sadly, I think some of this, if I eat pieces, I'll get energy from it. It's a really sad thing, but I think this does exist in the world. So,
I don't need to Google that. Nope.
Yeah. So,
Amazon's like, you may also like.
Oh, no.
Yeah. There you go.
It's part of your algorithm now, boy.
Yeah, that's not going in the search history.
Portlandia's, we can pickle it. So then another truly terrifying scene. You have boiled water dumped onto a waterboarding scene. Waterboarding is always hard to watch, but with boiling water and third degree burns and scalding, that's hard to watch. It's movie magic. It's not real, but that's the whole point. It looks real and feels real. Perhaps I would say the most graphic thing that they do in this movie, they castrate prisoners and they show from the rear like a cutting out of the testicles of a man from behind. Obviously everything's done with prosthetics, and it's not as in your face as Human Centipede is the franchise is accustomed to. So I'm not saying it's easy, and if you have a weak stomach or if this stuff offends you, you're long off board way before the scene ever gets here. But this is normal. Tom Six normally handles this with a lot more abrasiveness.
I don't think that was the most graphic thing, but he does proceed to have those fried and eaten.
Yeah.
They show back up.
Yeah. There's another forced oral pleasing of the main character, Bill Boss, at his desk. He's definitely mistreating his secretary. There's something called a kidney stab rape, which I didn't know about, and it was truly terrible. I hope this isn't real. I really hope it's not real. This was Bryan stroking his beard in concern at this very conversation. Was this the worst part, Bryan?
I sit here thinking about things that I never thought would be discussed on the show, and how we're like, maybe 5 minutes into talking about the actual thing, and we have like hit so many bells of, yep, that's the worst. Yep, now that's the worst. Now that's the worst.
It was the stoma removal for me. That was the worst.
Well, I think one of the things about this film is you've got what's happening to the prisoners, which is obviously horrific, but they are painstakingly portrayed as all like the worst of the worst. So you have this weird thing in your mind because by the end of this movie, you are rooting for absolutely no one. Like if just something cataclysmic happened and swallowed all of these people.
You want a prison revolt. It's so bad.
Which you kind of get in a way. But I'm just saying that I think one of the reasons that this doesn't land its punches the way that the other two did are because they're riling you up to the point where you're like, well, I kind of just need the secretary to make it out alive. And everyone else dies, and then that's the happy ending.
And she doesn't,
and it doesn't, and nothing happens. I mean, so it's just bad. It's just bad.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's bad news, start to finish. Bad news. If you stuck around to listen to us talk about it, because there was no way in the world you were ever going to watch it, just know that you made a good choice, and it's all bad news.
I loved Bryan's comments in our thread. He was like, so many things happening in the same location. So many bad things. There's so many terrible things all in one place. That was my favorite summary of this.
It's true. And back to the hit list, though. Guy with a stomach bag, which is a thing. He's got like a hole in the side of it, and he has to and he's collected he basically poops out the side of his torso into a bag, and so he can't be part of the chain, so they just shoot him, which was graphic and splattery and gross, as you could imagine. This is Tom Six getting back to what he likes.
They shoot him in the stomach hole instead of just to make it worse.
Yep, that's of course where
while making his accountant clean it all up.
Yep.
So the secretary that you've all mentioned, the only nice person in this movie, she's unfortunately in a coma and certainly beat up at the end. And I don't know of an easier way of saying this. She is in a coma and she is sexually assaulted by the, Bill Boss, our terrible villain. And there's a guy who wants in the Centipede, which why not? That seems like another upsetting thing in this movie. Like he's pumped for it.
Yeah, he's eating feces in his cell.
Yeah, Yeah, so that's
Nobody
weird.
gets to like it.
Yeah, nobody's supposed to like it, which is true. You shouldn't like that. But they shoot him so he can't get the enjoyment out of the situation. Uh, Nothing bad really happens Centipede related until 1 hour and 21 minutes, probably when Bryan thought this movie would have been wrapped up and sealed the deal. So if you were here for the Centipede, you're going to be upset. I don't know if I don't know if this is, do you think this is holding people in suspense, Chad? Because it's
No.
1 hour, 21 minutes that we go into Centipede mode.
No, I don't. I think they're probably largely bored. I don't know how quickly they get to the Centipede in 2, but the first one,
Much faster.
I went back and I didn't watch the full movie, but I went back and did clips from Human Centipede 1 because it's like, this seems so tonally different. And they got to the Centipede and the experiment fairly early in the first one.
Right.
Now it dragged on too long with that sequence, but they did different things. So yeah, I think people were probably bored.
That's what I was wondering. Like if this is the brand, if you're 3 movies in and you come for brutality, shock value, how bad can it get? Let me see the worst thing I've ever seen. I want to upset my friends by watching them watch this thing. I debatably would say that they've gone off brand and maybe they missed their mark. Now, I mean, I think Tom Six as a director is thumbing his nose at all the people who rated his movies badly and said this is trash and this isn't worthy of being called a movie. I think he's at this point saying, I don't care. And
he clearly does not care. No.
Yeah. So you didn't hurt his feelings and he's laughing about the whole thing. The whole thing is a joke to Tom Six, certainly as he presents it here, and his self-performance within this as well. So it's hard to call it funny, and I'm somebody who enjoys humor, and I enjoy dark humor. But I don't know. The execution here, it's hard to find the humor in here with such brutality, if you will, because of how it's presented. So there is a naked butt shot, which is technically the most graphic thing as they prepare for surgery. But this movie also hands you far less upsetting, vicious, savage, assaulting nudity than in the other movies, which, that's always, I think that's a trademark thing of things you can't unsee in these movies, like violence plus those two things don't go together. And when they do, it's kind of upsetting.
Well, I also I just feel absolutely compelled to bring it up every single time that we're not saying awful shit doesn't happen in this movie. It does. It's just not quite as awful as the previous 2.
Yeah, that's what I want to say. Like, if this is the first one you've come to, I've got bad news for you. It gets a lot worse. On the other hand, if you're like me and you were subjected to the first 2 movies, particularly the second one, coming into this one, I was very afraid. And the first thing I even thought when I turned this on is like, oh no, we're back in color. Because Human Centipede, the only merciful thing they did was they made it in black and white, which is eerie in tonality. However, there's a lot of yuck and like gore and stuff, which is lessened. You can't tell what's red. You can't tell what's brown because it's all just everywhere. And it's terrible. But it's black and white. And that takes, if there's any at all, edge taken off of the second one, that's black and white. So when we were in color, I was sitting there going like, oh no, we're back in color. This is very bad news. How long did it take you, Chad, to figure out this movie's not going to be the same thing? Like, it's pretty fast.
I knew, it was right away. When you're introduced to Bill Boss, I'm like, what is Dieter Laser doing? It is just completely manic energy. And all of his, you can tell it's going to be a satire. Like, this is Tom Six's thing. He's like, the Centipede was meant to be a punishment. And this is the first film where he actually gets to that point. He's like, we kind of forgot to do that in the first 2 films. Again, haven't seen the second one, but the first one was done to like innocent people. And I assume
unrelated ones.
Yeah. I assume the second one is more of the same, but he's just said, hey, we got away from that concept, forgot to do it. But yeah, it didn't take very long for me to figure it out. The way the comments he's saying, and they're misogynistic, but I think they're ridiculous enough to kind of just like laugh at how ridiculous it is. Because he's saying like, back to work, office slut. It's just, and it's Bree Olson. Like, do not Google her name at work. Just don't do that. I've told the guys I confuse, for whatever reason, I amalgamate Elizabeth Olsen and Brie Larson's name, and that is a really, really bad thing to do. And it gets you not the results you're looking for.
I mean, she's an adult entertainer and porn star. That's there's no way
It's
to
part of your algorithm now, son.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, the way he treats her is just ridiculous. And she's a ridiculous character too. Because, I mean, she's there to be the porn actress. And so, like, when she's trying to woo the governor, she's grabbing her breasts and trying to get his attention, and the governor just walks right past her. I tried my hardest.
yeah, and this is so. I think it's interesting you pointed out Dieter Laser is the evil doctor from the first movie,
And
playing Bill Boss.
he is scary and serious there.
Yes, he is, and he's playing a very different character here. I did get concerned right away when we saw his face again. I'm like, oh no, what are we doing here? And so he's back. And
He's not in the second one, is he?
No, he's not. Now, something interesting that they did do in the second one, because we'll probably never cover it, and I certainly won't be on it if we do. So this
Keep it up, Russell.
This is a favor to you, Chad. This is what these are things you do for friendship. But it's worth noting at this point. It's very fitting that you're here with me, Bryan. You're not totally collateral damage. Years and years ago, you brought up Two Girls in One Cup. Don't Google that at work either. Preferably don't Google that at all. But you were the one who introduced what it was and then followed up and said, okay, I have to show you. And here it is.
I feel like it's really important to state the difference here. I brought up that it is a thing. I was completely candid about what it was.
You were.
And at no point in time did I put a camera in front of you and be like, hey, watch this.
You did not film me. It's true.
Study it, discuss it in 90 minutes.
I just want to be very clear.
Godfather of the show, John Flack, was there with you, and he was completely culpable with all of this too. So yes, this is so. Anyway, you're here for a reason. Karma has its way of working out. Now I don't know what's going to happen to Chad, but certainly it's going to be 90 minutes of something bad at some point. So,
I already watched Breaking Away.
Okay, there you go.
Ah.
Yeah. Also, Laurence R. Harvey, the short guy who's his accountant.
Yeah,
he's actually the really scary dude acting like in the second one. Now,
how?
Exactly. How you see him in that movie, he is like mentally not right, and that's he's playing really sadly convincingly. So the first movie is poorly made. The second movie, unfortunately, isn't poorly made. It is made better. The acting is better. Laurence R. Harvey is a disturbing character. He delivers an unforgettable performance where I wish I could forget it. He's a sexually abused character who is not mentally okay and is, his father killed himself, and he has a sad backstory that you don't even want to hear. And so he decides to do the human centipede thing to 12 people because, it wasn't enough in the first movie. And so we see him abducting 12 people. One of them's a pregnant woman. I mean,
no.
one of them is the actress from the first movie. So the first movie actress has to go through all of this again because, so the poor girl from the first movie, like she thinks she's coming to an audition and he abducts her. These abductions are brutal. They're serious, and they're like in parking garages with lead pipes and putting people in bags and filming it. It's just hard to watch all of this. Here, Laurence R. Harvey, you don't even realize how small he is in the first movie. Or it's in the second movie. Here, you realize he's like 2 feet shorter than Bill Boss.
Yeah.
And he's goofy as can be. He's like, but sir, think of the tax savings. Like, it's the answer. And
he's carrying around the movies for no good reason the entire film.
Correct. And so he talks almost none in the second movie. Like, he's a man of very few words and horrible actions. And that, like I said, Human Centipede 2 makes you sit there and go like, this is why they shouldn't make things. So that somebody like this sees it and says, I should do that. So, here he's probably the funniest part of this movie, if there's such a thing. Like, his performance is over the top, if you will, and my idea, like his idea that he keeps wanting to champion.
Everyone's over the top. I mean, the doctor, the secretary, just everyone's a character.
It's the only place I'm able to work without a license.
What's the Simpsons character? Dr. Nick? Like, it's very much Dr. Nick energy.
Yeah.
Is Dr. Nick the character from The Simpsons, the bad doctor?
Yeah. Hello, everybody.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You're right. I mean, so much for the Hippocratic Oath of doing no harm. I mean, if you're out of work and you've lost your license, maybe you should just pick up another thing. I don't know. Maybe you should sell apples on the side of the road or something instead of, surgically hatching prisoners together and experimenting on them. So, given that this is in prison, though, I'm going to ask this. I couldn't help but draw the parallels. Joseph Mengele in World War II was an actual real life monster who did experiments on, Jewish and people who were imprisoned in these concentration camps. And he was a true and actual terrible monster who would say, like, don't worry, I'm not going to hurt you. And then would perform surgeries on people without anesthetic, giving them treatments that would pretty much fail, cutting out their eyes and comparing them. Awful, real, terrible things. And from history class, I think Mengele might be one of the most evil people to have ever walked this planet. Hitler was terrible. Goebbels was terrible. This man is a doctor. And no matter where you come down on, you're supposed to help people. And this is really sick experiments. So the fact that they're prisoners, they're a captive audience, they're not willing subjects. This is pretty awful. I think you mentioned, Bryan, that this is easier to take in because they're tough dudes and they're all hardened criminals and they're bad people. But on the other hand, my mind went to when we invaded the middle Iraq, and I think we had soldiers who totally mistreated their people, and they were all piled up on each other naked, and like they had people like posing on top of them. Not a good moment for America. And it's like one of those things where
Abu Ghraib. Yep.
They're prisoners, but they're human beings, and it is upsetting. And it's on us to give dignity and to do a better job than they were willing to do for themselves. So, I don't know. I've never been to prison, but because there's nowhere to run or hide in this case, it did seem terrifying. They are serving their sentence out, away from the world. And now they've become guinea pigs for this experiment. And this movie's not presented in a terrifying manner. And I think you mentioned it, Chad. There's potential to do something with this concept. Because of the first two movies, because of what we're dealing with, I couldn't shake that yucky, like, that's really disturbing at the same time. Like, it's not being presented in that horrifying manner, but now that concept's in my head too.
Yes. And but because they are all prisoners guilty of any number of terrible things, mixed with the hammy, air quotes again, lightheartedness and the way that most of this stuff is executed, that it makes it easier for you to just kind of like, there is no good guy in this. I feel like it's really important that the audience knows that when you watch this, the only person who deserves out of this place really is the secretary. And as we've already mentioned, that does not happen. So really there's no other redeeming quality to anyone else in this. And it makes it easier for you to be like, well, if the prisoners escape and overrun them, that's good, but it's also bad. And if you were ever going to set people up for well, maybe that could work question at the end of a movie, I mean, they go through some really bad people to set up the population as it stands in this. And it's almost whimsical in a way how the movie ends then, because you're just like, well, that's one way to go at it.
Yeah. And let's be clear, no one here is advocating like this is a good idea or this is fine or anything else. We're just saying, like, to your point, abducting a pregnant woman in the second one is shocking, and that is on a different scale of terrible. Abducting innocent people, experimenting on these prisoners. I think what does it for me is you see a guy, and there's like no time at all that he's released from the Centipede. I don't know how long he was on the Centipede, but they're like, he served out his time, and he's got the little marks on his lip, and you're kind of like, oh, there's an end to this, and these people can be released. Like, it's still a terrible, sucky thing to go through, but there's sunshine at the end of this terrible, terrible rainbow, whereas the other people, like in the first movie, they die. Spoiler alert, they die. Like one of them dies first, and then they're stuck with others, and it's just a sad and terrible thing. Where this one, you're like, okay, they're medicated, they're fed, they'll eventually get out of this scenario, and off they go.
Yeah, if you take, like, let's say, what I think the really terrifying angle they could have taken with this film is have the prison staff be relatively rational, not crazy, not torture. Like if they just had this brought up, like, hey, I bet no one would ever do anything bad anymore if we sewed their faces to another person's butt in a long chain and they had to live that way, they'll never want to come back here again. And if they had literally put this out as a, let's say it's like a lost footage documentary kind of thing, like, well, we've tried a couple different things to really shock the prison population into not being repeat offenders, and here's trial number V17842, and it's just this thing, and then they leave it out there saying, oh yeah, and it's in a giant file cabinet of different stuff they tried. Yeah. But the footage being rational people, like you said, kind of like a Mangala thing, where they went about it as scientifically as humanly possible, not as a shock flick, and actually tried this on a prison population and then locked the results away after having punted on it. I think that would have made a more Human Centipede 1 level horror movie, because then you're sitting there looking like, these are supposed to be normal, well-adjusted, I'm going home to my family people in the prison doing it to inmates.
Yeah, the one big question it raises, because we are talking about prison and prison sentences, for me was Daisy. Like, we see her in the chain. It's like, okay, how does she get out? Or is she just condemned for all eternity because she didn't do anything wrong? She's knocked into a coma through a fight that takes place. Does the warden knock her out? I don't remember the sequencing for what exactly happened to her.
Well, no, the big dude. Oh God, Lister.
Okay.
Tom Lister Jr. like beats her.
That's right. Yeah.
Before the SWAT team arrives.
Yeah, we didn't even mention that part because of all the terrible things that happened.
Yeah, listen, there is not 2 minutes in this movie, audience. There's not 2 minutes in this movie something truly awful doesn't happen. So just want to, again, really cement the fact that it is a nonstop. That's really messed up. Wow. Thank you for keeping me in the state of suspended ick.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting. Peter Blankenstein, he's another familiar face. He's the guy who wants to be in the Centipede and can't get in it. Well, this is the second time he had done it in the previous movies where he wanted to be in the Centipede, but he dies before he can be at it. So then you've also got Eric Roberts, surprisingly.
Academy Award nominated.
Nominated Eric Roberts from Runaway Train. Says he's a fan of the series, so he was easier to... My first thought was, I know Eric Roberts. Why is he in this? Yeah. Apparently, he likes these movies, and he got, so he was easier to get than you think.
I don't like these names being in this movie. It feels less grungy.
I mean, I've seen him in a lot of stuff. He kind of seems like the kind of guy that would be into some like backroom horror flick kind of stuff. I get it. And I tell you what, if I were him, I think one of the greatest things to come out and say, be like, yeah, I was in it. I didn't watch it, but I was in it. Like it's check mark. I was in a Human Centipede movie, but I was literally only in the segment, and then I was like done. So, and I'll bring some more of this up in our superlatives because you're just sitting there thinking like, how?
Yeah, let's not bring legitimacy to this franchise by adding
Right.
named
By adding
actors. Like
even if
feels
you're
wrong.
a beer C level like character actor kind of guy, like don't encourage it.
This
Right.
is Julia Roberts'
Stop
brother.
that.
I'm surprised she didn't stop him for him. like you've dishonored the family. And I joked to Chad at a time.
No one stopped Emma Roberts yet.
I said, you know, you've got it bad when Bree Olson is being dehumanized and degraded and not treated well. So, given her line of work,
Yeah, I think you said this was beneath Bree Olson.
Yeah, this is beneath Bree Olson. Yeah, she can do better, and has.
How would you know, sir?
Uh,
He's like, I particularly enjoyed her performance.
Anyway, Tom Six concludes he says, giving shock gives me pleasure, which is evident in just making these movies. He doesn't have a huge film catalog.
Him and Rob Zombie. Yep.
Yeah, I think this is different than Rob Zombie. Even
I think they're a big part of the same overlap in the Venn diagram.
I have also punted on, and I'm a big zombie music fan.
Uh-huh.
I have punted on seeing Rob Zombie movies at this point. I'm like, I get it, man. You do you, but I'm out.
Right. You know what you're gonna get.
I think I've seen half of the ones he's come out with, and I was just like, I'm good. I see what's happening here.
I have a hard time truly believing this, but Tom Six says that he's not for gore's sake. But not sure I believe that. And he said these films have a lot of layers. They are dark comedies. They are horrible films, not horror films. These are his words, and I must present them as he presents his art here. But I personally don't agree with his statement. But you may have intended that. But so yeah.
I've never seen. This is just a fun exercise. I'd never seen what Tom Six looked like until this movie. And when he came in, I thought it was Boyd Holbrook from Logan.
Oh, okay.
Like they looked that similar to me. And then I was also not nearly as similar as Holbrook, but there's another guy named Bino Fuhrman, who's a German actor. He was in The Order with Heath Ledger, who also kind of looks like him. So I had to take a minute just to make sure that he wasn't in movies before directing movies. And it's like that, like they were that close where I was like, do I know that guy?
Tom Six puts into here some of the criticisms that he received. So when the prisoners are watching these movies as a form of torture, many of their complaints are actual reviews of his first two movies, which is, I actually think this is one of the things I like about this movie. He is driven to do what he wants to do. And he's not, he's using the hate and he's using it to fuel what he's doing, almost laughing at the people who review him, probably inciting them worse. Like, this trash belongs in where the stars don't shine. Well, that's an Ebert line that they reused in this movie about his first movie.
Yeah, Bill Boss calls them some profane names. He's like, these are B-movie slop and other things. But then the doctor is like, oh, I've seen those films. They're really good.
Gosh. Yeah. There's an alternate ending where the doctor lays in bed and he's implying that his previous events were a dream, and he finds that 3 Rottweilers, his first centipede creation, were deceased, laying in the floor, and the camera pans over to his house, filming the transitions of the first human centipede movie.
You're talking Dieter Laser Doctor, not the Dr. Nick dude, right?
Right. Yes. So this would be in the mind of the original evil doctor from the first movie, and this was all a dream of his. Do you like this ending better, Bryan?
I don't care.
Bryan's out.
Yeah, it wouldn't have made a difference. I'll put it that way.
It's 3 minutes longer. That alone probably.
Then no, I'm against it.
I'm against it. I think for what this movie is and the ridiculousness of this entire movie, having a naked guard shouting as patriotic music is playing over a long shot of the Centipede is about as perfect as you can make the ending for this type of movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, why don't we get into some superlatives, you guys?
Well, that's
Sure. Is that the
I've got to say that ruminating on this movie for about as long as I spent watching it now, it's equally not as
I can see you losing a bit of your soul like minute by minute.
yeah.
Superlatives is the wrong word for this section, by the way.
It is the wrong word for the section.
Well,
This is more like, well, if I have to,
Yeah, say anything positive about
if I
anything.
have to.
yeah, you must. Who is the MVP, meaning the best part of this movie? Bryan.
I disagree with that assertion, but I'll tell you what I wrote down. The MVP of this movie was the ending, like the credits. Best part of this movie. Soon as the screen to black credits roll, woo!
That's his best
done.
scene, his best shot.
That's my best scene. That's my best shot. 100%. I literally copied and pasted it all the way down. I'm like, magnificent. Best part.
I think you stole Bryan's, or I think you stole Chad's answer from Breaking Away. So
That's
yeah,
true. Was it really?
Yeah, there was.
I
I think it was. I think I edited it out and made him do better. But yeah, I think that was the original first take. For if you want to see the under the hood at Retro Movie Roundtable, sometimes mean things are said that don't get on there. So,
I mean, I can at least get behind a nice quarry scene or something like that as a fill-in. But I mean, this movie, I paused this movie at least 6 times to see how much time I had left. Like, I was a 5-year-old on timeout watching this movie.
I think
Time yet? Is it over yet? Is it over yet?
Bryan's best review of Breaking Away ever, which, by the way, I love this movie, but they did not. And, Bryan's thing, the best thing about Breaking Away is it didn't have people being sewn anus to mouth, pooping in each other's stomachs, and then passing it on into other people pooping into their stomachs on a giant chain. That's the nicest thing you've ever said, Bryan.
The foresight required would have been magnificent to be like, well, it was a human centipede.
All right, Chad, MVP, because this is your thing and this is what you love.
Yeah, sure. Dieter Laser. I mean, it's unhinged. It is an unhinged performance. I can't imagine being on set and not laughing at the ridiculous things coming out of his mouth. So.
It's the final movie he does. He dies after this one. So, that's what happens after a human centipede, usually. So, all right. My MVP is technically Eric Roberts, and yet, like, he's demonstrably good. Like, he looks like a governor, and carries more presence with him as an actor in his minimal scenes. I like what you said, though, Chad. Like, I don't want this for him. Even if he wanted to do it, I don't want him to have wanted to have done it. But here he is, Mr. Brightside himself, Eric Roberts.
Okay. Giving legitimacy.
Bryan, best supporting actor.
I actually went Eric Roberts on this, too. His parts, if you just take when he's speaking, have the clearest window of not terrible things happening.
Yeah, like it
for
looks
the
like
whole
it's
movie.
from. It looks like
If
it's
you
from
just
another better
wait till
movie.
he's talking, it is small, safe spaces in a torrential hurricane of horrible.
That's fair. Yeah, he is good. Therefore, it feels like it's moments of being taken out of another movie and put into this movie. So I like that assessment. Chad, who's your best supporting actor?
Same here. Eric Roberts. Gentlemen, this is exactly what America needs. Look, just his delivery. And I love the incompetence of Bill Boss and Dwight and just getting berated by Eric Roberts. I want more and less of him.
Yeah. My best supporting actor is Laurence R. Harvey. Of the people who are left standing after Eric Roberts, I thought he was the one. He had a lot of speaking lines. If there is any humor to find, it is through his performances of saying that this is a good idea. This is my idea. Looking proud to say, like, I did this, Ultimately, Bill Boss shoots him because he's jealous and doesn't want to share credit for the idea. But yeah, Dwight, hidden gem, Bryan.
So this is probably the only true film critique, like of this is the only part of the show where I feel like I'm actually doing my job being on the show. Everything else has just been, yep, that was a thing we watched. So my hidden gem is Tom Lister Jr., who has had very notable, very good, very supporting roles in a lot of movies that I've liked over the years, most notably Dark Knight and Fifth Element. And the fact that he ended up in this, I was like, what brought you here, man? He actually has one of the most prisoner focused redeeming moments in all of film in Dark Knight. And then a very unfortunate 8 years later, he's got this. Now, I will say this. For him chucking that detonator out of the boat in Dark Knight and refusing to kill the boat of good people, he was awarded with two things that I feel like got him far and away the best deal in this film. One, he didn't have his face melted off. He only had his arm broken. Compound fracture, yeah, that's terrible. I'll take it over having my face melted or my balls cut out and eaten. So that's number one. His second boon was he got to be the front of the Centipede.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what you are. That is wildly the best place to be.
Because he had Crohn's disease, right?
But still.
One of the best quotes of the night. The front of the human centipede is wildly the
It is wildly the preferable place to be. So I will say he got, there are a couple boons for him in this movie, but he's my hidden gem just because I was like, my guy, why are you here?
All right.
What led you to this?
Yes. Yeah. Chad, how about you? What is your hidden gem here?
I went with Robert LaSardo, who is in Nip Tuck. He's in CSI Miami, and then he's in this. He's in quite a few different things. He is the kidney hole assault prisoner, big neck tattoo.
He is very much a typecast actor in these roles.
Yep.
Well, my hidden gem is just use of repeating characters. Now, my joke will be, after destroying their careers, it's nice that Tom Six gives them one more job so that after nobody wants to touch you after you work on a Human Centipede movie. But in actuality, it is cool that he has brought in, again, reoccurring. His first actress came back to the second movie, and then here he reuses characters from the first and second movies. That's Dieter Laser, Laurence or Harvey, Bill Hutchens, Akihiro Kitamura was he's the Asian guy from the first movie.
I mean, Jay Tavare, he was Vega in Street Fighter, and he's sharp. Same year, by the way, sharp teeth in Bone Tomahawk. Like, he's a legit actor.
It was a joke, but nevertheless.
No, it's just so strange. Like, all these people, why are you here?
I mean,
it's a valid question. I've got it.
I totally get why Bree Olson is here. I don't understand.
I don't. She makes a lot of money and she's good at what she does. She has no purpose in being here.
Just trying to break it into that real film, man. It's interesting because I understand to a certain degree the notoriety that comes with being in unpopular things. Star Trek lived it for many years before it got a little bit more mainstream prevalence, where if you got to be the red shirt guy that died on a planet during Kirk season 1 episode 9, that's a paid gig at a Comic-Con every single year. And that was what made a lot of these things worth it, let alone if you ended up getting, I'll go to J.J. Abrams on here, and one of my favorite actors was also an Alias in Greg Grunberg. He gets to be Snap Wexley in a Star Wars movie, as a fighter pilot. That is a paycheck for him for Comic-Cons all across the world, all day long, all the time. I mean, that is a huge thing in some of these circles. So there's that. So I understand that as piece one, and they have a horror version of Comic-Con, so I'm sure they're welcome and probably paid somewhat reasonably to appear at some of these functions. So there's that piece. The second is, we've had B movie actors who have been in films and they've been asked that question. It's like, I had nothing else going on right now and it was a paycheck. So that's, if you're bored and that's a thing, and again, there are fringe benefits to it. All right. So I'm not going to say that a movie like this is completely bereft of reasons to be in it, but man, that's a rough sell for your kids one day. Like, oh, Dad, you were in Human Centipede 3. Can we watch it? Absolutely not, honey. You need to forget about that forever.
Recast. If you had to recast somebody else and put somebody else in their place, Bryan.
So I truly, and you've heard about it once already. It's going to come up again later. Dieter Laser, I couldn't understand half of what he said. Yeah. And I hate that I've hit an age where subtitles are actually necessary. And some of his rants do contain funny, horrible things. But I felt like his character, specifically in this film, was trying to be a terribly over-the-top Stephen Lang. And so if you wanted to make this movie in the way I brought it up earlier as a documentary actual horror movie in that fashion that I laid out, Stephen Lang should be the guy playing the head of the prison.
Okay. Don't breathe. Yeah.
Chad, how about you? Who's your recast?
Speaking of Rob Zombie and his cast, I'm going with Sid Haig in the role of Dwight. Sid Haig plays Captain Spaulding. He's a recurring character in the Rob Zombie movies, and I think he fits right in with Dieter. I have not seen Human and Centipede 2. Apparently, Dwight is impressing Russell here, but I want Sid Haig energy.
I will give Rob Zombie one, big kudos. He has the ability to find guys who are actually fairly impressive actors for how terrifying they look, like in person, in real life. Sans makeup.
Sid Haig had legit roles back in the day for horror, and he was kind of rediscovered or dug back up.
Buck Rogers was my knee jerk.
Yeah.
But even back then, I mean, he's the kind of dude that kind of looks like Shel Silverstein, who insists on putting his pictures on the back of children's books. And I'm like, I don't know if you know this, my man, but you're kind of terrifying.
Everyone but his wife.
And I said, I'm surprised you didn't go and add more porn stars into this, Chad. Maybe a Jenna Jameson to add to this as well. So I figured that's where you were going with the recast. But
I am not nearly as familiar with these characters as you are, sir.
Well, anyway. My recast, you will be familiar with him. I also went after Bill Boss. I thought that a lot of the things that you were saying, Bryan, this dude has to do a lot of lifting in the movie. And for being crazy, who better to get than Nicolas Cage? So I think he would be great.
I mean, that it'd be a different vibe, but yeah, I mean, that too would be an interesting film.
Nobody does bonkers like Nick Cage. So yeah.
Best shot, if there is such a thing, Bryan.
Nope. There's not. There's not such a thing. It's not.
There's a butthole shot. Do you want that?
Nope. Nope. And no. I like the shot of Dieter Laser's feet just hanging out of his office window. There.
The patriotic American flag on the outside.
No, just
we've been inspired by a great
as he tries to escape.
Okay, Dieter Laser's feet. Okay,
that's my cop out.
Okay. All right. Chad, how about you? Best shot of the movie in the cinematic masterpiece.
I were very similar. I don't think there's a single shot that really stood out to me in this movie as like artistically valid. I guess it is the final shot of Bill standing on the tower over the centipede. Like that's the only thing that they're at least trying.
Let's put this out here for the audience, just so you know, we're not trying to intentionally not do our jobs by these answers. the fact of the matter is, every time there is 2 seconds of a breather between the horrible things that happen in this film, we're using those to recuperate for the next battery of terrible things that happen in this movie. So it's not something that you'll necessarily watch and just be like, oh, it's very artful how he shot that angle. It's oh, thank God, there's nothing horrible happen at this very moment. We'll take that.
My best shot. This was an interesting moment, and Bill Boss sells it. Is he takes his revolver gun, dead point on the center of the camera. His eyes are really big with those goofy glasses. His hat's on, and it's like a really close up shot.
Oh, his like crazed monologue scene where the prisoners are cheering him on.
And so it's so close to his face. It's really intense. I don't think there are many good choices in this movie, but that shot, I paused and said, that's my best shot. And it was a good first person. It was intense. It captured his intensity and his murderous, crazy, off kilter mind. Best scene, Bryan.
Again, no. But I guess if I really had to go for it, I'm going to go with. I'm going to continue on. So his feet out the window. I like the fact that he hurt himself falling out of said window. And then it actually leads to one of the funnier lines that's just frankly funny, not horrible funny. So his exodus from the office to behind a shady tree.
Okay. Yeah. Chad, how about you? Best scene of this movie that you selected?
Yeah, thank you for reminding me. The Daisy trying to hit on the governor. I thought it was. I thought it was really comical and funny. It was almost like sitcom-esque, and it made me laugh.
That might be a better answer. I want to say probably what everybody came to see was the aerial shot of the prison yard from up above, and this scene. This is the horrible moment that we all came to see. The chain that makes the 3 on the front of the movie. It's a serpentining. Guys in orange jumpsuits, they are propped with their wardrobe, face to butt in a chain in the prison yard, and you get that sheer number of all the prisoners in here, and they're like lined up like dominoes. And I thought one thing that occurred to me is you're zooming out so far, Google Earth style. Some of the horribleness of this is more manageable. Thank you for shooting it from so far away. So if there is any good news to doing this to more people, it's that you don't have to look at the close-up shots of the first and second movies where it's like right at their eyes and nose and where it is, and it's so yeah, that was good news. All right, best wardrobe or makeup moment, Bryan.
Why? Eric Roberts suits.
Yeah.
Things you don't think about while watching this film. Oh, that's a really nice tie.
He's got great hair too, by the way.
He does,
yes.
Yeah. Yep. Chad, how about you? Best wardrobe or makeup moment?
I'm staying away from all the gross stuff, but I will say I appreciated the like feed bag style harness that they had. Mostly because it covers up some of the grossness in the Centipede.
That's a good answer. I did like Bill Boss's getup of the white hat, the white jacket, the big like yellow glasses that are the wireframe, the bolo tie, and the tan shirt. Like he was very Texas, and he was like coming to like he wanted to be American, and his accent was very much not, and that was a big part of this strange joke of like only in America, which I didn't think they didn't know where to go with that. Like, what were they trying to say with like, this is what Texas is about. This is America. Like it felt like they had this piercing political satire, but they didn't, where was that even directed? So, there was no greater political message behind that, in my opinion. If there was, you'd have to explain it to me how he got there. I don't think he got where he wanted to go if he was shooting for it, but, Eric Roberts' hair, I mentioned it. Guy's got a great hair. So that's my change one thing and only one thing, Bryan.
Russell's rating some of my previous dealer's choices.
Don't make it. I'm still going after Dieter Laser and the fact that he needs subtitles. I just felt like it was unnecessarily unintelligible. 3 parts.
Yeah. Chad, how about you? What one thing are you changing?
It is Bill raping Daisy, who is in a coma. Like, in a film filled with absolutely unnecessary things, this just seemed like out of bounds unnecessary. That there was a lot where I'm like, that's gross, that's stupid. And then he does this, just going, why?
Yeah.
Why? Why do you have to go one step farther?
I mean, that is so true. My one thing that I would like to change, not only about this movie, but all of the Human Centipede movies, is sewing people's mouths to buttholes and having them poop in each other and digest it. That's the number one thing I'd like to change about this franchise. So,
it's a very different franchise.
Yeah. If I were to make a serious answer, I would say I would find it very rewarding to see a prison riot where these guys are, held accountable for their actions. I think that would be enjoyable. Tom Six doesn't go for enjoyable. He doesn't get the girl rescued in the first movie by the police. There's nothing even remotely hopeful of it being enjoyable in the second movie. And same thing here. We don't get what we want. And I think Bill Boss said it was, nobody can enjoy this. So that should have been the tagline for this movie.
It might have been.
Best quote, Bryan.
Well, I said my probably most quotable quote to you guys the other day, and it was Eric Roberts. You talk so much shit, your ass must get jealous. That is a great quote. But I will also say, on a personal note, I also I do not accept this heat.
I could see you saying that.
I'm so miserable when it's hot outside. The only thing maybe out of his mouth the entire movie I agreed with is, I don't accept this heat.
Chad will be the only person. Bryan speaks in movie references. You should know this about him. But in this case, nobody will have seen this movie to understand his reference other than Chad. So, and then I will go into therapy after these 3 movies to try and not address the fact that I have seen them, and that I'll try and go through hypnosis to have them wiped from my memory. But you will know this, and Chad will be the one friend of yours that you can say, I do not accept this heat, and he'll know. So,
yeah.
Excellent.
All right. Chad, best quote.
I personally castrated him. Yes. We all are aware.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I wish this had been the end of it, but I love when Governor Hughes says, why do you 2 a-holes look so pleased with yourselves? Both of you are effing fired. I should have done it years ago. That's how the movie should have ended. So instead we get, this is what America needs.
I thought that was funny.
All right. 5-star scale, half-star intervals. Bryan, what are you giving this movie?
0 stars.
You can't do it.
One star. Then one star. The lowest non-decimal point.
Yeah,
rating.
One is the lowest you can go
1.
without a decimal.
1 star.
You don't want to go half here, Bryan. This is a special exception.
1.
Well, there you go.
1 is my lowest.
I haven't broken him yet.
Yeah, okay. Well, if you haven't done it here,
he tried for 0.
This is the
I did try for 0.
Yeah.
It would have been my first 0. Might be my first 1.
I think the only half-star rating in his show history was Dustin on Valentine's Day. So,
yep.
Having said that, Chad, what do you rate this movie?
I went 1.5, and it is a very bad movie, but at times, it's on the edge of being so bad it's good. And then Tom Six gives into his absolute worst demons and can't help pushing that line just further than it needs to go, and he does it repeatedly. And I think I'm more angry about that I can actually see value or entertainment in this movie, and Tom Six ruins it.
I would say if nothing offensive or upsetting happened in the movie, it would still be poorly made. So it's got poor execution. I don't think he's a good director. I don't think these things are well executed. I think you could have made the first Human Centipede movie more scary. Not that I want to see that movie, in fairness. And if you're going for funny, I think he has totally missed the mark with this whole series, in my opinion, because I don't find them funny at all. I even have a hard time with like the South Park Human Centipede like episode, because the first movie is just so gross and stuff that it's just so repugnant that it's hard for me to, like, it'd be funnier if I hadn't seen the source material, if you will. So half star is where I'm coming in. Now, I would like to say that this movie is so much easier to get through than Human Centipede 1 and 2. Those movies are bottom 5 movies of all time for me. This movie, I debated throwing a 1-star review just because it's not as bad as the first 2 movies.
There you go.
And if Chad would ever let us off easy, I even questioned him. I said, should we just talk about the first one? More people have seen it at least. And he said, no, you should do the third one. And I would say thank you, because honestly, if you had to talk 90 minutes about something, this was the easiest one to get through content wise. So in the end, you let us off easy as could be, I guess, you let us down gently, if you will. But no, the first 2 movies still deeply bother me. So, yeah. All right. Who wants to help me pick a movie for next time?
I would love to. So if you're in the middle of a centipede, you can't talk. And do you know who else famously doesn't talk? Charlie Chaplin. So Charlie Chaplin's impact on cinema.
What a segue.
Global culture is immeasurable. Transforming film from a simple novelty into a respected art form, just like Human Centipede. He elevates comedy and social commentary. He also came in third in a Charlie Chaplin lookalike contest. So today we're going to serve up 3 of his masterpieces. Option number 1, City Lights from 1931. With the aid of a wealthy, erratic tippler, a dewy-eyed tramp who has fallen in love with a blind flower girl accumulates money to be able to help her medically. Option number 2, The Kid from 1921. The tramp cares for an abandoned child, but events put their relationship in jeopardy. Or option 3, The Great Dictator from 1940. Dictator Adenoid Hinkle tries to expand his empire while a poor Jewish barber tries to avoid persecution from Hinkle's regime. Russell, what it will be?
We covered the circus earlier.
That was fun.
Yeah, so I'm kind of looking forward to this, or any movie that's not in this franchise coming up. This. So I'm tempted with The Great Dictator, but I've read people say several times City Lights is his best. So I want to see it. Let's see City Lights.
I look forward to your best quote.
It is. And that is it. Profound. Mm-hmm. That'll leave you with something to think about as you leave this episode. So, Chad, Bryan, thank you for doing this with me.
That's not the word that ends in K that he wants to say.
Anyway, we did it.
We did it for 2 hours. Human Centipede.
So thank you all the lords, ladies, and knights of the Retro Movie Roundtable. We invite you to reach out to us. We want to hear from you. So subscribe, rate, and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Give us a like on Facebook. And follow us on Instagram and Twitter at @movie_retro. Email us at retromovieroundtable@yahoo.com. And producing and providing this podcast is fun but not free. We invite you to support our show at our Patreon page at www.patreon.com/Retro Movie Roundtable. All contributions are much appreciated and will go towards making the show better for you, the listeners, and keeping episodes like this from happening in the future. So, Bryan?
By creating a legacy, by living a life worth remembering, you become immortal.